Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Brant Life. My name's Dave Carrol. Great to have you here. We have a very special Brant Life today. May 2nd to 8th is Mental Health Week, and we have some wonderful people inside our community to be able to share about this very, very important week. We have a couple of real pros and wonderful community members who have spent a long time dealing with and really helping us understand mental health here in Brant County. Lill Petrella is from the Canadian Mental Health Association in Brant Haldimand Norfolk, and Christine Dragojlovich is the clinical manager at Woodview Mental Health and Autism Services. Ladies, thanks so much for being on Brant Life today.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Now, before we started taping the show, the two of you guys were like, we are in the home stretch. This is
yes.
we're right here before Mental Health Week. What does the lead up to Mental Health Week mean for folks like yourselves? That I imagine this is such an important date on the calendar.
Sure, and we only have 15 minutes. You said no.
Yeah. I'll give a brief snippet of the lead up. Yeah.
As you can imagine, and Christine, please jump in. There is a lot of work involved. There's many agencies involved in the preparations of Mental Health Week, and we love it. It's a communities-wide event, and they're all putting on different events, fantastic events. So there is a lot of prep to make sure that everything is done and everything, I's are dotted and T's are crossed, but it always comes together, always. And we do have a fantastic lineup as per usual again this year. Christine, do you want to add anything to that?
Absolutely. I think one of the wonderful things is, you're right, Lill, as a community, as both communities, we all come together, we do preparation meetings, we share the calendar almost immediately and say, you know what agencies would like to do what businesses would like to do what, and everybody jumps on board and says, I would love to do a bingo, or I would love to do an art contest. And we just prep it with those meetings. And then we, different people have different tasks. And we have this wonderful person at Woodview who puts together the calendar and is really creative and makes sure that she's dotted all her I's and crossed all her T's. And we just come together as a community and celebrate mental wellness and great ideas from everybody of how to do that.
Interesting. So we'll get into some of the details of the things that are happening this particular week, but what does it look like? So let's pretend I have no idea what Mental Health Week looks like, and you come to me and you go, "Hey, Dave, do you want to participate in what does Mental Health Week look like?"
That's a Christine answer that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. No, that is a great question, and it is. I guess we can sum it up as our community coming together to raise awareness and celebrate mental wellness. It is in a variety of different ways. It may be a virtual, somebody going on and sharing ideas or suggestions. It is chalking. It is going out in your front lawn, at the school, wherever you are, and chalking a positive message and sending it to us. We will put it on our social media. It is getting together. It is community, and it is helping each other learn about mental wellness, learn about, sharing ideas and sharing suggestions and sharing what other people have gone through and helping others.
Absolutely. And our sign challenge this year, this is something new that we're trying. So we really want to get the message out. Not only are the communities involved by the agencies that are represented on our committee, but also we want to make it across the board. We want all agencies and businesses who have signage to please participate and post positive messages of mental health and wellness to get everybody involved.
So this year, I believe the theme is social connection. Is that, am I reading that right? Social connection?
Empathy.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That was 2020's theme was social connection. My apologies. But I was looking at that. Good. I was looking at that thinking that has to have been something like actual social connection, an incredible challenge that we've had over the last 2 years. It has to have been almost a monumental thing, like a mountain in front of mental wellness in our community. How have people been able to socially connect and actually have real interactions with people in positive ways during this time?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Dave, like last year, the theme was social connectedness because we're all in lockdown and isolated and suffering the mental health repercussions. And the theme has evolved from that to go into having empathy because as we're coming out of lockdown, as we're experiencing reentry anxiety and getting back into our lives, empathy is really important because, we seem to be losing sight of that with the anti this and anti that. And, the division. So we're just, trying to get the message across that it's all about empathy. Let's not forget how to care for each other and care for the communities that we serve. It's very important. Did you want to add anything, Christine, to that?
I would love to. I think one of the things is with the empathy is we have our whole entire world was in this together. So this is the best way to understand each other. And we experience different things through being together in separate homes, right? So there's no better way to understand is to have empathy for one another. And the other thing is we really want to emphasize, have empathy for yourself. Be kind to yourself.
Yes, very important.
I'll throw this out. In my other world, when I'm not hosting local TV, I'm as a pastor dealing with different people and who have been going through different degrees of trauma, really. The word that I've started to throw out to some is it feels like we have been through a collective trauma together. And the realization that we've all been affected somehow by what we've all gone through. It can be to varying degrees, but really that's sort of along the lines of what you're talking about, right? Being able to realize, hey, I've been affected, you've been affected, we've been affected. Empathy fits right into that, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does. And it's interesting that you equated what we've been through to trauma because it absolutely has been a traumatic event for everyone. And with the reentry anxiety that we're seeing and the fear and, we can explain this as a quasi PTSD, if not a full-blown PTSD that everybody is feeling right now. This is, we're experiencing the trauma and the after effects. So empathy is so important, so important.
Christine, during the pandemic, was there an increase in people reaching out for help? Did it stay the same? Was it less? I'm curious to see from your guys' perspective, did people reach out more?
Absolutely. People have definitely reached out more. And what we've noticed is kind of like that huge increase in different kind of issues, if you might say, a huge increase in eating disorders, complexity regarding anxiety, the increased OCD symptoms, increased anger and frustration, increased parent and child conflict. So we've definitely noticed an increase of people reaching out, which has also been fantastic. And I think one of the things about the pandemic is people said it's okay to not be okay. And then, and there's been plastered everywhere how to get help, which has been wonderful as well. So it's kind of like even raising more awareness for mental wellness.
Yeah, it's interesting because that idea of it's okay to not be okay, I heard it for years before the pandemic, but it was almost like when it hit, everyone went, okay, I heard it before. Now I have to deal with that. I am also not okay. So they said it was okay to not be okay. So now I'm going to actually be okay with not being okay, right? Like I can just speak to that in my world too. I've seen that over and over again. With more folks coming forward, how have service givers like the two of you guys been able to respond to those who are now looking for help?
Well, we're very busy, right, Christine? We're very busy. Well, we do what we need to do. We need to meet with the demand because everybody has been impacted one way or the other. And there's been definitely, as Christine said, an increased demand for service. And we need to respond for that increase in service. And we're doing what we need to do as agencies for sure. Right, Christine? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And we've increased our different programs to be able to help with that capacity. We're saying that all doors are the right doors. So there's different ways to access our services as well, including texting to say, I would love an appointment, right? So we've been very responsive to our community in that respect.
It's interesting because I want to get your thoughts on, but it's also changed as the pandemic has sort of gone on. And some thought, hey, when everything opens up, everyone's going to be super excited because it's all opened up. Well, That's not true, because there are others that, as things open up, there's a whole new segment where it's like, nah, I'm even more nervous than I was before to be able to get out and move. Have you seen it change as this pandemic has gone on?
Oh, yes. It's called reentry anxiety, and it's a real thing. I'm sure Christine can add to that as well. We would love for it to go back to normal and, just continue on with the way it used to be. But unfortunately, this is our new normal. It's not going to be the way it's used to be ever again, because it has traumatized us, right? Our reactions, it has really changed, right? So that fear is going to be there for a long time. There's going to be a residual effect. And, that's something that just has to kind of run its course until we feel comfortable going back into crowded places, not wearing masks, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that, as you mentioned earlier, Dave, has been trauma for us.
One of the things I imagine you guys had written down here is that I can only imagine. Well, actually, I know firsthand, because it's as someone who does struggle with a little bit of social anxiety myself. How do people who have been dealing with this kind of thing, and it has exacerbated it a bit during the last 2 years, how do people deal with anxiety in a time like this? Like, what are some of the risk factors and triggers that people might experience?
Let Christine go answer that.
Anxiety, right? Like it's allowing people to have that grace, for helpers to remember that this has been a scary thing and it's been worldwide. Go at your own pace, allow yourself room to take time and give yourself kindness and grace for this.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. We're being too hard on ourselves to be able to just get back into it, especially as helpers, right? To take care of other people, clients as well, as also dealing with our own, reaction and anxiety to the pandemic. So, just don't be so hard on yourself. Ease into it. That's good advice for everyone. Ease back into it. Your comfort level will return down the road, but this isn't something that we just have to pop back into and be wonderful again and be 100% okay. That's just not.
That was actually one of my next questions, because not just those who are helpers, but people who I've talked to who are, let's say, business owners or business leaders or community leaders who have had to, because of their position they were in, keep the stiff upper lip and keep plowing ahead because they knew that others depended on them. I've talked to numbers who are now going, oh, I'm taking a deep breath and I don't know if I'm okay. How do people in that situation deal with where we're at right now when it comes to good mental health?
One day at a time. And again, as Christine said, just don't be too hard on yourself. Have that grace time, ease into things, and, don't expect to be 100%, like from 0 to 100. It's just not going to happen. So just take the time that you need and just ease back into life as we used to know it, and the changes of our new normal.
And I think one of the things is the world is new. You mentioned that, Lill, right? And remember that you will find your place again. Just give yourself the time to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about specifically this week. Like, what are some of the things that people can discover about this week, can participate in, and can jump in to be able to be a part of this very important week?
Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have, oh my goodness, we have such a fun-filled week. And the wonderful thing is we are being really creative. There are some virtual events and there are some face-to-face events, in-person events, which is fantastic. You mentioned that we start on Monday, May 2nd. The Grand Erie District School Board, they'll begin with their 5 days of mental health. Our early ons, we have those growing together drop-ins. We have 3 different kickoff events, which is absolutely fantastic. We have one in Port Dover at Lions Park. We have one in Dunville. Port Dover is the Kinsman Park, Lions Park in Dunville, and Harmony Square in Brantford. There's virtual salsa with Willowbridge. Brant Fax has barbecue. Nova Vita Art Challenge. Contact Grant has bingo begins. Six Nations Decorating Challenge. And then our Parkers Project, we have a Parents' Night In, so that's also virtual. They're going to be painting rocks to celebrate mental wellness, writing positive messages on them during the week, distributing them through the community. You can register by this Friday. Lill mentioned the sign wars. There are just so many things. And then in your own backyard, do some chalking. Do some chalking to celebrate mental wellness. Have a happy face, a rainbow, whatever mental wellness means to you.
Lots going on, as you can see.
There's so many things going on.
All right, we got about a minute. What's chalking? Is it
is grab a piece of chalk. You can write it on a chalkboard. You can write it on the ground and just write one positive message or a picture what mental wellness means to you. A positive message.
So it's what I thought it was. Actually, chalking. There you go. Yeah. very, very good. All right, got about 30 seconds. Tell people where they need to go to be able to learn more about this week.
There is a Facebook page, and we have an Instagram page at Brant Haldimand Norfolk Mental Health Week. Please direct everybody there. That's where the daily updates are and any other information that people need to know. We just couldn't fit everything on the calendar because, as Christine mentioned, there's just a gazillion things going on. Well, we're really ladies, proud of our committees. Yeah.
You should be. It's really important. And thanks to you two as well for being leaders in the community when it comes to something so important, not just during this time, but throughout our lifetimes. And so appreciative. Thanks so much for all the work you do.
Thank you so much for having us.